Welcome to RPG Book Club, a podcast where we play a little chunk of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Michael Webben.
I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And today we'll be playing Rogue Galaxy to the end of Chapter 5, The Master Hacker, or The Galaxy's Most Genius Hacker in the Japanese, which is real cool.
Yeah, but I found out that was the title, because that's the title I gave everyone last week, but the guide I was doing was from before it came out over here, so it was used all the Japanese names for everything, and I was like, oh, that's better than the Master Hacker. I guess the Galaxy's Most Genius Hacker is just like 5 kanji and not the super long thing that they couldn't fit on the save screen or whatever.
Yeah,
totally. So how are y'all doing?
I am doing pretty good. We got approved for our new apartment.
Woo!
So we can move out of this hellhole, move close to work, not have this roach infestation that's not even our fault, but our neighbors are probably gross, and therefore we have roaches. And all of that crap is, like, that whole weight is off of our shoulders, so we can go and move into, oddly enough, Summer's childhood home is the apartments that we're getting.
Wow.
So that'll be fun. But they're, like, right across from where we work up in Cedar Park. Like, there on like Lake Creek-ish is where we'll be, which is a much better drive than way down here.
As for me, over the last couple of days, my allergies have been actively trying to kill me. So that's great.
I think that's literally what allergies are. They're just trying to kill people.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on, but the plants need to stop having sex. Like yesterday. I normally, when I go to bed with allergies, I'll wake up and I'll be better. I went to bed with allergies the other day and woke up and I was like 10 times worse. It was terrible.
I know that feel.
Yeah. So the pollen is so bad my body couldn't reset itself. Yeah, it was crazy, but we did get around to recording last night. Last night being Tuesday. So all of our Rogue Galaxy Let's Plays are going up before this episode on the podcast goes out. And thankfully, Tuxedo Ken is now the one who's playing because I can't take it anymore. I'm bad at this game. I'm so bad. So he's taking the controls, and I am taking a healthy distance from this problematic relationship I have with Rogue Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're still trucking along and you have an out, because it would be like so bad if you were single and like we had to have a conversation right now where I'm like, look, like we really need to, like, we need you for these next 6 episodes. And you're like, I can't fucking do it. I'm just gonna watch a Let's Play. So I'm glad that you found a way to continue pushing through.
Yeah, Tuxedo Ken is incredibly helpful. Like he played 9 hours over his weekend, because like he knew I was frustrated with it, and he just kind of took it upon himself to learn the game. And I love him so much. It's so wonderful.
That's so great.
Yeah, he's such a good partner.
So not to spoil things, but I'm pretty certain that Tuxedo Ken is just Ken, the guy that you talk to. I think that's the secret identity. He's wearing the mask, so I can't tell. But I think that he's actually your partner.
Yeah, I mean, he flies in, he talks to me about video games, and then he leaves. Usually,
he says my work here is done.
This is yeah. But you didn't do anything.
I love that.
It's because what you were doing is you were playing Rogue Galaxy, you were frustrated, and then the controller gets knocked out of your hands by a rose.
Yeah. Stop! I'll take that for you. And this is the one time that he's doing something, and I'm just like, oh, he's so dreamy.
Anywho, so Spiff, what about you? How was your week?
Pretty good. I've had a bunch of job interviews. I had a big one yesterday. The good news is they really liked me, and I'm going on to the next interview. The bad news is there's a next interview. I thought I was on the last interview, but turns out there's another one. So that's
joke's on you, fucker.
I was like, wait, I have to do another one? Are you kidding me? Come on, just Hire me already.
That's actually the job. They just want to watch you do interviews.
I showed you my resume. Hire me. Yeah. So I've got another in-person interview next week for this position, and then another in-person interview for a different position tomorrow, and some other shit that I'm waiting back on. So it's all looking very positive, but still not, resolved.
Yeah.
And then the second big thing was, even though I don't have a job yet, I couldn't take it anymore. It's been like almost 5 months, so I went ahead and looked on Craigslist and bought myself a high definition television for $75.
Nice.
And
hell yeah.
It's like literally it's a 42-inch full HD, 1080p Vizio, all the normal stuff, and it's just I think these two people moved in together, and now they had two TVs.
Nice.
So they just sold one of them. It's great. So now I'm playing Rogue Galaxy on that TV, which means, as I was explaining to y'all earlier before we started recording, that I am having a bit of input latency, just regular amount, not a ton, but it makes the camera and the jumping and the combat even weirder. Honestly, it doesn't really affect the jumping. I'm fine at platforming in any game, even games that aren't platformers and have terrible platforming. I can always do it. I'm there for it. I'm gonna land the jumps. But the combat does have a little bit of a twitch element to it, mostly like putting up your guard before a bad guy hits you.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that I'm having a harder time guarding because I think maybe because of the latency or because the game just got harder. Having to play a bit
much
more
harder.
I'm having to play a bit more kitey and stay a little bit more away from guys, because if I jump into the fray, I'm getting wrecked a lot more than I was last week. But that's me.
Awesome. So I want to apologize to our listeners for two things. The first thing is I didn't take good notes for the second chapter, so bear with me if I skip your favorite part. Yell at me on Discord, and then I'll plug it back in next time. The other thing is I was going to look up an Eric Matthews joke to use for Jaster this week, and I could not find one because I did not have time. So I don't have Eric Matthews reference. We'll wait. We'll find one next time. I think next time I have a Batman Beyond quote in mind. Also, here's the joke, if you haven't caught it for the last 3 episodes, is I replaced something Jaster would say with something that another Will Friedle character had said. So that's what those clip-ins were, if you didn't notice.
This is the reference.
We should
don't have one this time if you're looking forward to it.
We should also mention that the other Michael wanted to be here, but there's some real life things he's dealing with that unfortunately he can't right now.
Some real shit.
Yeah.
And we're now recording at our mimosa time, as we said last time, and he I don't think was ready to be up this early.
No.
Maybe he could have handled his stuff and been ready for our evening recordings, but not. That's a lot to ask somebody when you first wake up. Be like, hey, get your life together in the next 2 hours. See you when we record.
Stop being sad and get on this podcast and talk about a video game.
Yeah, exactly. Just stop being sad. Just stop. That's all it takes.
So before we get started, I do want to say that a lot more of the plot happens this episode, and I'm pretty excited about it. This now feels like a game that I have questions about instead of oh, cool, this is the jungle planet. Got it.
We're at the space DMV. Great.
Yeah. So we start off and we head to the space DMV. We enter Zerard airspace, and it's like a steampunk Coruscant, and it's much prettier than Star Wars Coruscant. The first thing I did, because you land and they're like, "Oh, we got to go up here, but you should look around at all these shops first." I was like, "Something bad is going to happen. Let me look at all these shops," and I explored everything that you could, and it is super expansive to be a town. And most of the stuff in the town isn't important. So it's just big to make you think oh my God, I'm in a big city, and it accomplishes it. It's super well. What I did find is there are 5 to 10 different item shops all selling different stuff. So I revelation flowed the crap out of everybody, because I would go to one, buy everything I could, plug in everything I could, then go to the next one, same thing, and then work my way backwards through it, because when you unlock new moves, you have more spaces. And so I was well, let me see again. And so I got Desert Wind level 2 and Illusion Sword level 2, and it has made these 2 chapters super duper smooth and easy. But I'll get to that.
Yeah. I started appreciating something interesting in this game at this point. Did y'all notice that if you don't go the right way, your party members will be like, I think we're not going the right way?
Yeah.
It's super cool, and it's really subtle too. I don't know how the programming works. Maybe they're like, okay, well, you're in this part of the level, and where you're supposed to go is this part of the level. So let's like paint the ground between here and there. And if you're not in that area, then your party members will chime in about it. Anyway, that happened. Of course, I had to hear those chimes a million times
because I was
never
exploring.
Go the right way.
Yeah.
But there were 1 or 2 times when I actually did forget what I was doing, and I thought it was really cool.
So your party for chapter 4 is Jaster, Lilica, and Simon. Lilica and Simon are both like, "Are you sure we're going the right way?" But Jaster is just like, "Where is this?" And I'm like, "You're on Zerard. You're in a factory. You've been here for a while. You know this. Like, what do you mean? Where is this?" It's such a weird I'm lost line.
Also, at one point, he said he just randomly yelled like something like, "Let's keep up this pace, guys." And I was like, you mean the pace of me talking to NPCs for the last hour? Instead of getting a fucking visa renewed?
Yeah. It's like, so like you land and they're like, all right, you have 72 hours to go and renew your visa. And I'm like, all right, that means for 71 hours I got to do whatever the fuck I want. And
surely once I actually get to the visa renewal place, it will happen with no further complications.
Of course. So after we do all of our exploring, real quick, I jotted down. So on our way to the visa renewal place, the Space DMV, Lilica is like, "Oh my god, this is what like technology looks like," and Jaster's just like, "Holy shit, there's shark people." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm with Jaster."
Love the shark people.
Yeah, like Ken and I both love them, and Ken keeps pointing out their great nose rings. How it's just a ring shoved over their nose. He loves
it.
So
good. MVP NPCs of this area.
They really are. So, Lilica says that the air sucks, so let's hurry. Simon says to take a look around. I follow Simon's advice. But we finally get to the Galaxy Corporation, the Space DMV, and the receptionist is this condescending Valley Girl type android thing named Mio, and I love her personally. Eli, I feel, does not.
You can watch our chapter 4 Let's Play, and my first response as soon as I meet her is, "Oh my god, I hate her."
So I had a bit of build up because the two of y'all mentioned her a number of times in the chat, but also like a bunch of the NPCs talk about her before you get there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of build up. So personally, I think she's hilarious.
She got better. I like her more.
Except she's a fucking cop, so I hate her actually.
I'm that part I'm not so excited about, but like I do like her a little bit more, and her like it was. I don't know. I have some aversion to people who just have a perpetually perky attitude because why? How are you doing that? I can't. Ever.
IRL, I agree, but this is A, fictional, and B, she's an android, so it's not her fault.
Oh, I must have missed that part. I thought she was just wearing fun cat ears. I did like her outfit.
She felt like an android.
But I got the impression, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember if that was said. So I guess it's slightly less creepy that the 40-year-old men are all, like, completely, like, bonkers.
She's like the Hatsune Miku of this universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think
that changes things a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I was getting was Space Miku.
Maybe some NPC mentions that she's a robot, or maybe it's because her name is Mio in all caps. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's what did it.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually don't know why I think she's a robot. I just feel like they said that at some point, but maybe I just imagined it. I don't know.
So
anyway,
yeah. So while we're talking to Mio, these two guards show up, and they ask to take some pictures with her, and she's like doing like super like anime cutesy poses with them, and it's adorable. And they say that they're part of the Mio fan club, and like the club has like a secret handshake dance thing, and it's adorable, and I love it, even though apparently I'm alone in that. But
no, I went from 0 to 100 on these fan club guys. At first I was like, these guys are so annoying, and then 5 minutes later I was like, never mind, I love them actually.
Yeah. So Lilica gets mad that they halted her DMV stuff to take these pictures. So she slams on the table, and right as she's does that, something in the background explodes. So Mio's like, I think you're like a terrorist or something. So I'm gonna call the cops and send you to prison. So she calls the cops, and they take us to prison. And so then we see Zegrum turn to this camera and say, "I'm evil."
Yeah.
And so
he's not as subtle as Ikutsuki, even though they've got the same hair.
Not at all. So he was the one that exploded things, and he says that it's to get Jaster, quote unquote, out of his way. And yeah, so obviously Zegrum is not a nice guy.
So we know he's evil, but we're also still leveling him up. Like,
yeah.
And can give him revelations and stuff. What is the deal with that?
The dramatic irony of, like, we the player extremely obviously know he's evil, but none of the characters do, so he's still in our party, and we still go around with him, and he can't choose not to, is kind of hilarious.
It's like not even the game mechanics know that he's evil. Like, what is going on?
And what it feels like to me is because here in chapter 5 and then also the little bit of chapter 6 that I've played, he's still not in your party. So it's like I feel the next time he joins your party will be the I've believed in you all along type turnaround for him, because it's taken for fucking ever. So I feel that like the game mechanics know he's evil, but they also know he's eventually going to come around. So, and they don't want you to sit there and not revelation flow him, not experience him, and then suddenly he's level 16 when he has to join your party later. So I think that's what is going on there. But I definitely would have loved if that was like behind the scenes, because like trying to think of the game. I think it's one of the Tales games that I've played where like this guy joins your party, guy turns out to not be cool, guy comes, I think it might be Tales of Symphonia, but when he turns out to not be cool and he leaves your party, he's still getting the like party experience and all of that stuff, so that when you come back and he joins your party, you're not it's not like an arbitrarily picked level where like I've been grinding and doing all of the side quests, so I'm level 100, but I should only be level 40, so now I'm stuck with a level 40 in my party. It's not one of those, but it's not he's been in your party the whole time. I think it's Tales of Symphonia with Kratos, but I don't remember.
Spoilers.
So
Spoilers for that game, that Kratos is a bad guy.
The way you explain it, it seems pretty obvious. So
it's
I don't actually
pretty
care.
obvious. He feels when he joins, he feels like he could be the badass older guy, but it's approximately an hour later where he's like, nah, fuck you guys. So I spoiled an hour of your game where he goes from cool to not cool.
Here's my worry about Zegrum is that we're building him up, and how we build him up is going to determine how hard he is to fight later.
Probably not.
I don't think that the game is... I don't think the game is that clever. But it's I still like
that would own actually.
That would be really awesome.
Never give him revelations. Give him hard.
Well, honestly, I the rule I use is because I don't want to use it my items. I only revelation people who are in my party. Just like when they get, if someone else turns into my party later, then I'll do a revelation flow. You know?
Yeah,
like,
I was doing that too.
There? Yeah.
I don't like notifications, even though those notifications are really subtle, just like flashing, because like it's so hard to tell like when I actually have something in the revelation flow. I'm like, is like my screen bright or is that it actually flashing? I can't tell. But when I go and I see that, oh, I have revelation flow, I do it, even if it's Zegrum, even if it's if Kasala, even if it's someone who's not there. But
I have a little pro tip to share if y'all aren't aware of this already. If you are trying to totally fill out someone's revelation flow, after you fill one square, say they have like 10 different squares that are available to be filled. After you fill one of them, instead of scrolling around and finding the next one, what you can do is you hit circle to back out and then click X to go back in. And anytime you go in, it'll automatically go to the one that you need to do.
Yeah. I think we said that in like the beginning of last episode, but I don't remember.
Really? Maybe I didn't understand the context. So
yeah. So yeah, so we get thrown in prison, and we meet Rosencaster, who the prison is named after, and he says we are Draxian spies, and he doesn't even care if we're innocent because we're in prison now. We're his property. And how would you guys describe Rosencaster's character design?
Adolf von Hitlerstein.
Nice. He's simultaneously Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
He was so like, even though like we've seen like shark people and stuff like that, like none of the character designs have been like extremely Dragon Ball until this guy, and I'm like, that's the whole vibe I got from him, was like Dragon Ball, the original, like with Kid Goku, Dragon Ball, because like there were all sorts of like weird animal people and weird, huge, like hulking, brute-ish people that like went away by the time Dragon Ball Z came around. But like in Dragon Ball, they like leaned on it heavy, and that's the vibes I was getting from this guy.
I think I described him as if Hitler and Frankenstein had a baby.
One thing I love about this, and this is a tiny spoiler, but later there's a flashback to like back when he was not quite as evil. And the funny thing is, it's like, oh, here's him before the tragedy happened that made him evil, but he still looked the same.
Yeah,
so like,
he still looked totally evil.
So everyone is like, all these NPCs are like, he used to be such an honorable man. Everyone used to love him. He used to be a good guy. And I'm like, are you sure? Because he looks evil.
He looks evil as hell.
Hey, don't judge a book by its cover.
That's true. I shouldn't. Just because someone has bloodshot eyes and a scowl on their face and a scar, but not a cool scar, an evil scar. Doesn't mean they're evil, except it turns out it does.
So do judge a book by its cover? The message is getting a little bit blurred here.
The message of this game is that prejudices are right sometimes.
Problematic. So Rosencaster says that we will be punished, but we'll while we're being punished, we'll at least contribute to life as we know it, and he throws us into a cell on level 4. Simon says that Rosencaster is the guardian of hell, and there's no way we'll ever get out of prison. But he didn't take any of our weapons, so I guess it should be easy enough. Like breaking out of prison is super easy when you have guns. Like just shoot every person that tries to stop you. Like I don't know why they didn't. Cause, like,
also, oh no, go on.
Because like the JRPG trope of everyone getting thrown in prison is always the first thing you do is you find the treasure chest in the guard room that has all of your gear and you get all of your items back. And they're just like, well, we've already given you enough tropes on the jungle planet, so we're just going to skip that part and give you your items.
There's actually an interesting reason. I think there might be an actual gameplay reason for that. I think that the game mechanics do not allow you to not have anything equipped. I don't think you can like unequip your weapons. And in fact, I have reasons, because if you might have noticed, if you try to craft 2 weapons and it's the only 2 weapons you have, and the thing it's going to make is too high level for you, the frog won't do it because he's like, you won't have anything to equip. So I think actually the game mechanics don't allow you to not be equipped. So the story writers must have just been like, well, I guess you still have your weapons.
So in your cell, there's a mysterious hooded cat person who tells us to calm down. And sorry. And we're like, but we're in prison. Why would we calm down? Like this is a big deal.
He's like, it's fine.
And then meanwhile, we see the guards from the Mio fan club up, and they're put on cleaning duty because they left their posts to go get photos. And their Mio fan club cards update to show that she's in her jammies to go to bed, which is super weird.
Creepy.
It's weird.
You know, I feel like that kind of like predicted like modern day like 2018 like Instagram and Twitter fandoms. It's like, I feel like this person is essentially tweeting everything she does, and her fans are just like eating it up.
Yeah.
But
very weird.
It's super weird. But then while they're distracted, some other guards come and let us out by bowing to this mysterious cat person, which is foreshadowing, in case you couldn't tell. So when we as we look around the prison trying to find a way out, we find a cage where we hear someone moaning, and then they turn into a proto beast and attack us.
Thankfully, that proto beast was super easy to kill.
Yeah, I was like,
oh my God.
Mini boss? No, it's just a script encounter with a mob, but. It then cuts to Rosencaster shocking the fuck out of someone, but then they die, and he looks disappointed that they died, and he demands another prisoner for him to test on, and says, "We're too close. There's no way we can give up now," which is fucked up.
Yeah,
I wonder if they might be turning people into monsters.
I wonder if that's it.
This is the part where I was like, okay, I was getting some Takahashi vibes, but now it is 100% obvious that this game was inspired by Xenogears in a lot of ways. It reminds me not only of Xenogears, but of the games that what's his first name? It's Takahashi, right? That's the Xenogears guy and Xenoblade Chronicles and stuff. Anyway, it reminds me not only of Xenogears, but of the Xenoblade games that came later. I'm like, okay, the director of this game and that guy are of a pair. For sure.
Definitely. So,
wait. Sorry. Well, one quick joke. I was going to say this earlier. Level 4 prison. This game feels like a level 5 prison.
Oh, you're so funny.
That's good. That's good. Where are we at? So, so we keep climbing the prison, and I get really lost because the way your waypoints work is it puts it on the boundary of which you need to cross to go to the next chunk, but it doesn't care about your verticality, and this is our first vertical level. So I'm coming along and I see my star and I'm like, okay, it's on a different level, let me check the different levels here and whatnot, and it wasn't there. And the way forward was to ignore your waypoint and walk in the opposite direction of your waypoint far enough till you hit some elevators to come back towards that waypoint. Yeah, and it was like the whole time I felt like I was going in the wrong direction because my waypoint was pointing in the opposite. So I like 3 times I would like get to a new teleporter and I'm like, no, like this is obviously like where the boss is going to be. I'm doing it wrong. And I would go back and look for like hidden secret things. And it doesn't help that right after that happens, there's a room where the like trick, I guess, is instead of climbing up like you've done in all of the rooms that look like that, you climb down to then go up in a different room. And so if you,
like up is just treasure.
If you go up, it's just treasure. But because it's like that happens right there, I'm like, no, I missed the door to go up. Like it's always up. Like this is something else. And like I turned around so many times to think I was doing it wrong.
There's also sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's also very few save points in this area.
Yeah.
And this is where part of my frustration came from when I was doing the Let's Play. Because, like, holy shit, you get into fights, like, every 10 steps. And then there's no save points to heal up again and to get all your health and your mana or whatever it's called back. And that's really frustrating, and so I was running out of potions and stuff, and just and then there's mimics all over the place too.
I wonder if that's their version of you don't have any, like not having your items. So like you don't have shops, you don't have the safety of save points, because like in Salgan, every corner had a save point on it. Like they were frickin' Starbucks there. Like every place had a save point, but this one they're so far along. I feel that might be the gauntlet of escaping from prison. Is it's not going to be like puzzles to get out. It's not going to be a whole bunch of bosses, but it is going to be a lot of like endurance, which I can appreciate. But it still was annoying when you add to it that like I would feel lost halfway in the middle of it, and so then it's like tripling my time to go from save point to save point.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole time Jaster is bantering on about how we need to keep up the pace or whatever.
I mostly did like it, mostly because of the reason Sam was saying, how it works like thematically. But one thing that I thought was maybe objectively bad design, but also I kind of thought it was really funny, was so like I thought most of the save points were reasonably spaced, except one of the stretches is just enormous. And what's funny is you start on level 4, right? And then you climb up to level 3, level 2, level 1. And when you see that, what are you thinking? Obviously, like, I know how numbers work. I know how build up and story structure works. If there's 4 levels, I'm going to climb up to get to level 1, and then I'm going to leave. Then I'm going to be done. But what happens is, and also, and exacerbating this is, like, level 3 has, like, a save point. Level 2 has a save point. But then the stretch from level 2 to level 1 is that's the longest, super, super, super long stretch, to the point where I was like, I saw chests and I would run past them because I'm like, that could be a mimic. I need to get to the save point.
Yeah.
But then the funny thing is, I'm like, all right, level 1. I understand how dungeon structure works. That means I'm done, right? Then the game's like, no, actually, now you're going into this different sort of level design where now you're in these like corridors and this it's almost like a it's almost like barracks, like it's like people live.
Yeah.
And so now you're in section A1, section A2, section. I'm like, wait, you're throwing me, you're doing another numbered thing. And to be fair, that part didn't last that long, but it was like the game so obviously was telegraphing that I was going to be done at a certain point, and then it was like, no, you're not actually.
So there's a thing that this game has done, but it hasn't done so in the level design so far. So you probably didn't notice, especially if you weren't grinding and killing all the mobs like I was. But there is a point in, like, every chapter is divided in 2, where you have the explore what am I doing part, and then the let's go and finish the thing part. And the mobs are way harder in that second part, and that's where like all the rare mobs are and stuff. So like in the jungle, you started off where you would just see the little smileys in that chapter, and they were super easy. And then the second half of it was, I can't remember what it is now. I want to say gorilla, but I think the gorillas were actually the second half, like the second chapter there.
Yeah, but you're totally right about that, though.
There's a second chunk of mobs that's a little bit harder, and so this one they threw that in with the level design, but the prison was long enough. Like, we didn't need the
victory lap.
The victory lap there at the end, even though all of the good plot happens there. So I can't be that mad, because thematically this plot couldn't happen in the prison, but maybe only put us on level 2 instead of on level 4, or make the levels much shorter. Either way, when we get to that section A3 part, like we were talking about, we see the Salamander Mark 8, the boss from chapter 1, which means that mine and Spiffle's question at the beginning is this a game that's going to explain why everything is robots? Was true. It does explain why everything is robots. Apparently, what Rosencaster is doing is trying to create an army for the Lungardian Empire, and is only made beasts so far. So
when I got to that part, when you go into the room and you see the thing, I wrote this down. I said out loud, alone in the dark, I said, "Oh wow, something interesting happened," and I didn't mean, and I didn't mean in chapter 4. I meant in the game.
Yeah,
surprised and pleased. I was like, "Oh look, something interesting's happening."
Yeah, this started like. But pretty much 2 whole chapters of interesting stuff happening. And like, this is when the game's really like coming into its own, which makes me think that last episode we were like, is the last half of the game going to be so good that people forget this slow opening? And I feel like that's probably true starting about now. Like I'm definitely feeling I'm definitely feeling that the second half, which we're not quite to the half yet, next episode is the halfway mark, but when like the second half is much better than the first half, and will make us forget all about Jungle Planet. Because like, I love Kingdom Hearts, but do you remember what happens in Wonderland in the original Kingdom Hearts?
Nope.
Wonderland is the worst thing ever put into a video game.
Nothing happens in Wonderland. It's so bad.
And aesthetically, it's horrible and depressing and awful.
Oh, yeah. But Hollow Bastion is so good that you forget about Wonderland being such a drag in the first couple hours of the game. Like,
there was something about
and Tarzan World
jumping on mushrooms, I think,
Something
and
like that.
I remember it being really difficult for me because I suck at 3D platforming.
Yeah.
Okay. One. Oh no! What are you saying?
Oh, I was just saying. So I wonder if like the Jungle Planet's the same thing, where it's like it's bad and it's early on, but we're only noticing it because we're stopping and talking about it.
Yeah, it's like they made this part and they knew it was bad, but they're like, well, we already put all this work into it. We can't just cut it. And they're like, well, maybe we'll just put it at the beginning of the game, and then everyone will forget about it by the time they get to the end, and then they'll say that our game was good.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate though, because like if you're telling someone about the game, you kind of have to tell them like, oh, just get through the first 6 hours and it'll start to get interesting.
Yeah.
What happens after the first 6 hours? You go to the space DMV. Oh, exciting.
Yeah. So
that just sounds
weirdly enough,
riveting.
it is exciting.
Yeah.
But
it reminds me of do you have the presidential release of Prisoner Form? Have y'all seen the Hitchhiker's Guide movie?
Gosh, it's been ages since I watched it.
It's so
the super
funny.
huge long DMV lines. That's
and then and also the Wachowski movie about
Jupiter.
The Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter.
Had the same
Oh
sort of
my
thing.
God, Jupiter Ascending is such a movie. It's hilarious in its badness, but
the whole space DMV part in that movie is hysterical.
Yeah,
I love it.
Ken was making references to Zootopia.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. He piped up, "What do you call a camel with two humps?" or something like that. You know, whatever the joke was.
Yeah. So back to the interesting part that happened. Though I did want to say real quick, I just remembered this. I mentioned it briefly last time, but I was remembering while I was playing this chapter that like a lot of PS2 RPGs have that chunk at the beginning where you're like, what is this? I don't even know what's going on, and it's longer than it should be, but it's long enough that like people didn't hang out on the internet as much back then. So like, what else were you going to do except for play 4 more hours as Roxas in Kingdom Hearts 2, or play through Wonderland, play through the Jungle Planet? Like as much as I love in Final Fantasy VII when you have to dress up as a girl to do that part, like that part's like it's kind of like a slog there in the beginning parts of Midgar as well. Like you have like a lot of RPGs from the like PS1 to PS2 era have this like once you get through the first 6 hours and they like you know the world enough and they can start telling you interesting things about it, that's when it kicks off. And I wonder if like it, because like in screenwriting there's also like the push to make something exciting happen earlier and earlier. It used to be on page 20 and now it's like page 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if like that's the like Hollywoodization also happened in video games, and so now you have to have your first set piece in the first hour, when before you could have 6 hours before you meet the principal villain of the game, and even then only see the back of his head. Like
it's kind of making me glad that I missed the PS2 era. Honestly.
Yeah, the PS2 era was an area of a lot of experimentation, you know, where people were like, we can have cutscenes and voice acting, not sure what to do with it.
Yep.
And I think what it comes down to is I know that with film screenwriting, with book, they say hook the reader, you know, with something exciting. But I feel like a lot of people abuse that, right? A lot of people are like, oh, so if we have an exciting action scene early on, then we're good, right? But that's not as important as giving me is letting me know what is happening.
Yeah.
Like what I mean is like letting me know, making me care, but also making me understand what is this work of art that I'm experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
What is the deal with it? Like, establish your identity.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have all the exciting action scenes you want, but if I'm still like, I don't understand what this movie or game or whatever or book, like, I don't get what the point is, what it's trying to say, even though I've had some exciting action scenes, I'm still out. And I think a lot of these JRPGs, they're taking for granted that you love JRPGs.
Yeah.
They're like, you bought this, you paid money for this game, you're a huge JRPG nut. That's enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I really liked about Star Ocean 5. So Star Ocean 5 has a similar like 6 hour slog, but it always cuts over to Emerson doing something, or you see like one of the first things you do is you come across an alien spaceship, but you don't know what it is. And then you're like, well, that's cool. I guess I'm just going to keep going to the castle to do my poor person castle-y things and not my space stuff, but like you recognize it as a spaceship. You know Emerson's an alien. You know all of these things, so you're interested in like the world past that, even though the JRPG like trope of like you have to go and like deliver a package in the first 20 minutes or whatever, like you're getting through that, but because it has the right cutaways and stuff, it's making exciting things happen, even though narratively it wouldn't make sense for Fidel to fight an alien in the first 20 minutes or whatever. But
yeah, absolutely. Just that one little bit of context,
yeah.
You know, like for example, the Dorgenark, they're on some kind of quest to do something. We don't know what it is, and if they had just like, remember early on when you talked to Steve and you're like, so what am I actually here for? And he's like, I don't feel like telling you. Yeah. Better ask the captain, who's been asleep for the last 15 hours of the game. If he had just said like one sentence, we're going to go find the most valuable treasure in the entire galaxy. Bam. Now I understand what the actual plot of this game is.
Yeah.
You know? Even if it's a fake plot, even if it's not even the real plot. Like, yeah. But now I'm just like, I'm having it, like, I don't mind having side questy adventures. But I'm having side questy adventures
before the real adventure.
Before I even know what the greater context is. It's so strange.
Yeah, it is really weird.
But I will say that you find out all of that stuff at the very beginning of chapter 6. If
I figured,
if our listeners played along with what I put in the show notes on where we were stopping, then they also have seen this little part because it's right at the very beginning before the first save point in chapter 6. But like it's actually really cool, and it like the fuse has now been lit and things are starting to be awesome.
It's lit, fam.
But
it is.
You have 5 chapters of side quest before that, which it's definitely weird. So back in the actual game, so when we're looking at the Salamander, the Mio fan club come in and they say that something weird is up with Rosencaster, and it's probably because of what happened to Claudia. And then Norma comes in, if you remember Norma from the evil cackling at the end of last episode.
She's the elf lady with the targets on her boobs.
So she comes
her glasses make me feel things.
She is pretty hot though, yeah.
She comes in and says that Rosencaster has gone off the rails and he needs to be fired. So then as we keep exploring, we see another scene where Norma tells Rosencaster that he's not up to snuff because he's obsessed with bringing Claudia back from the dead. And he's like, no, I'm totally working on making artificial human soldiers for you. And she's like, yeah, sure. And then leaves.
That's what you said last week.
Which brings up like my favorite like bit of like ironic game design. So proto beasts, right? Proto beasts are what he accidentally creates when he's trying to bring the dead back to life. So when you fight a proto beast, the item that they drop is a resurrection. The item that brings you back from the dead, and you can buy for $50 at the store. So it's almost like he's going through all of these things when he's like, you're handing them the like, go use a resurrection on Claudia. Like that's all you have to do. Just use this item that you're just throwing away when you throw out your proto beasts.
If only Claudia had died in a battle instead of in a cutscene.
Right? Yeah. I love if you leave someone dead and then you finish a battle, they're like jump up off the ground like I'm whole again. Like
I'm okay. I'm all right.
It's so good. But
of course they didn't have 1 HP and they die in the next battle.
Yeah, but that's fine.
So I always forget to heal them.
So we keep climbing and we come to a room with a bunch of humans and Bacta tanks on an assembly line. We're confused as to what's going on, and then Hoodcat shows back up and is like, this prison is desecrating human life. And we're like, well, what's that mean? And then Rosencaster shows up and he chokes the fuck out of Hoodcat, and Lilica shoots Rosencaster with an arrow and makes him drop Hoodcat, which I don't even remember his real name that we find out later. I'm probably going to call him Hoodcat for the rest of his entire life. But
I can't remember his name either.
So we then get in a fight with Rosencaster, and I cast Illusion Sword Mark II, and I take him down in 2 casts of Illusion Sword Mark II.
We didn't have Illusion Sword.
Did he have any plot hidden in his fight mechanics like the last boss did, and
he
make anything?
He ran around a whole lot, and like my NPCs are really stupid, so they never got out of the way of it. And he had like a shield. I don't think there was really any plot in his mechanics, at least as far as I can tell.
No, he had a couple of a couple of moves that are kind of interesting and some cool game stuff that you probably didn't see, but nothing that matters from a plot perspective.
I wish I would have taken him out in 2 hits with Illusion Sword.
Well, it's not two hits.
I don't
it's
think
2
I
casts.
realized that Illusion Sword was that good.
So Illusion Sword is what it does is it shoots Master Sword beams out of your sword.
Yeah.
But your sword hits also still hurt. So when you're up on them, it gives you the damage buff and hits them twice. So
that's sweet.
See, I was only using it from a range perspective, so I didn't get the double damage.
So you get up in
cool.
his grill, use Illusion Sword, and you're getting like 3 times the damage as your normal sword. But with Mark II, it's even more than 3 times damage. So you take him down really quickly. And I'm like, part of me is mad that I found this out because I'm not getting to experience the bosses, but part of it also feels great to have this huge cutscene of like, oh no, what are we going to do? There's a giant Eggman robot, spoilers. And I'm like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk up to its face and I'm going to smack it with Illusion Sword, and then I'm going to leave because I'm a badass and I don't care about anything else that happens.
And speaking of being that much of a badass, earlier when the fan club people were talking, there's a part where they're like, oh, they're looking away from us. Now's our chance to sneak past. And I'm like, as if we could not murder them in about 3 seconds. like
They're
really,
custodians.
Also, they're like, yeah, they're technically guards, but they're like the biggest idiots on the planet. Is there really any reason not to just kill these motherfuckers? Except that this is a children's game, and even though it's not, it does that thing where it's like, the game isn't for kids. They say curse words occasionally and have guns where they shoot people dead, but somehow they'll still have excuses for us to never fight like a human.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, only the bad guys. Like, Rosencaster is the first human we have laid a sword on in this whole game.
I'm actually surprised that even happened, because up until this point, it's been like, remember one of those voice clips that Jaster keeps saying? He goes, why are there monsters in a prison? And I'm like, you know why? Because they didn't want us to have to fight humanoid bad guys in this game.
So, real quick regarding Hoodcat, I've started calling him Kitty Rooney because he sounds kind of like Mickey Rooney.
Nice. I could definitely hear that. Kitty Rooney.
Okay, that's what I'm calling
his
him
name's
now.
Kitty Rooney.
Kitty Rooney.
Sorry, I know I'm going back to a previous point.
That's fine.
But I just it occurred to me I should say that.
So after the fight, we escape, and then Norma shows up and caps Rosencaster with a gun. So technically, we still haven't killed anybody. He was alive, and she comes in and shoots him. So only bad people have killed humans so far.
I saw that and I was like, you can't shoot that. This is a children's game. You can't just shoot somebody. Holy cow.
And so like every gun that like Jaster has, that Simon has, are like super like cartoonishly futuristic guns where it's like, oh, that doesn't make a gunshot, that goes kapow or kaplooey or biom or something like that.
Yeah.
But the gun she shoots him with looks like a Desert Eagle. Like, it looks like
she just straight up fucking caps him with a fucking Desert Eagle.
It just looks like a regular fucking gun. And
I think it's like to differentiate us from the bad guys. Like, we're not gonna fight people.
Yeah.
We're just gonna fight monsters because we're good.
Yeah, watch the next planet. Like, there's even like battle recorder bounties for just like peasants. You just go through like a murder spree, and the galactic bounty hunter board is like, all right, go kill 30 random people on Vaden. That's what I need you to do. That
would be awesome, and I would be totally into that.
And not just the men, but the women and the
children. Outside, the police show up, and Hoodcat says that they're with him, and he says Jaster has a warrior spirit, but kindness and empathy too, and he says that he'll see us again, but to be wary, because after all, we are pirates. And we're like, weird. What the heck is that? And right when we round the corner, we see a giant parade and celebration, because Kitty Rooney is an admiral of the army, and he's a pacifist trying to end the war. And so the pro-war goons are the ones who threw him into prison, but the crowd wants the war to be over. And I'm like, how did you... Like, first off, how can you have a parade when someone breaks out of prison? Like, what sort of anarchy is the Lungardian Empire right now?
Well, I don't think they knew he was in prison. They just were like, he disappeared. Where
now
did he
he's
go?
back,
Oh, now
and
he's
we're
back.
excited. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta say, this owns, because this is the part that's actually interesting to me,
Yeah.
is the whole, like, these two nations are warring, and at the beginning of the game, it's like, one of the nations, the Longardians, they have imposed martial law on Rosa just so that they can extract resources for the war effort. That's really interesting, and the fact that the game didn't mention it at all after that point, I'm like, you're having a fun space pirate adventure, whereas I'm way more interested in this actual plot. And then Jasher, at this point, he goes, the war. There's no escaping it. To which I said, oh, really? Because you sure haven't mentioned it since the beginning of the fucking game.
Yeah. Ken immediately followed that up with war never changes.
Yeah.
So,
but like, really, all you care about is being a space pirate. You don't care about the stupid war. You just want to go on adventures, you dipshit.
Yeah, you were just talking about how much you wanted to be in space, so...
After that cutscene, a huge crowd dissipates in seconds because we're out of a cutscene, and we find this woman and her child, and they're starving. They ask us if we've seen her husband, who nearly died in an accident but survived, only to go missing at the hospital. Just casually, Jaster turns to Simon and is like, "Hey, have you seen him?" And Simon's like, I'm sick. I'm going to go back. Let me call Steve instead.
That's not a big red flag or anything.
Yeah, like, not suspicious at all.
If I were the wife right there, I would have been like, so he's seen my husband, right? Can we go and fucking catch him and see what's up? But
my immediate thought was, let's pull his hat off and see what's underneath.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know enough about this game's world building to know, like, what species he's supposed to be. Is he a human? Yeah, so, like, maybe he just is the husband, but I don't actually know if that makes sense in the game's world.
Yeah,
I don't either.
I haven't seen other mole people, and his mole face has, like a gas mask on it. So, like, is he... is that not an actual mole face? Is that like a mole-ish gas mask? And he's her husband. Like, I don't know. I don't know what all it is. It hasn't picked up on that plot thread yet.
Yeah.
But so when Steve gets here, he says his scans didn't pick up anything wrong with Simon except for his obesity, which is such a sick burn.
Oh yeah.
Even the way he says it, he goes, "My sensors detected nothing out of the ordinary, apart from his body fat percentage." Which, like, not saying that fat shaming is good. It's certainly a bad thing to do, but these fictional characters don't know that, and that is a sick burn.
Yeah. So we continue onward to get our visa. And Mio is surprised we were released already for bombing a building. She's like, surely that would have been a longer sentence. Doesn't even think, like, you escaped from prison. Like,
I took that as her being a snarky bitch, but
no, I took it as her being completely clueless.
Yeah, that's how I read it as well.
But so when we go to renew our visa, she's like, were you in prison or something? Don't you know what happened? Which is, like, more signs she's just completely clueless. Like, yes, you just said we were in prison. Of course we were in prison. We don't know what happened. So what is happening is the Datron mainframe is being held hostage by some hacker. Mio's like, so unless you go after the criminal yourself, I can't do anything. And she shows us a video of the hacker who says he was wrongfully terminated. And there was one little thing, just as an aside. So you watch the news clip that is happening. It's like, we don't know what his demands are. And then you watch the clip that Mio shows you, and he's like, if y'all can send in hunters, then y'all can reach my demands. And it's like, but you have demands? I thought, like, they didn't know your demand. I don't know. I have a feeling that I felt this since chapter 1 after the monsters show up and the police are just like, well, I'm out of here. That the police don't fucking work in the Longardian Empire. Like, they are a complete and totally just, like, clown show. But
yeah, well, I mean, that's how empires work, right? If you have enough power to maintain empire, then it doesn't require a lot of effort to maintain it. Mm-hmm. So your police can all be dumb idiots, and that's fine, because if anything bad happens, you can just bomb the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Or call in the better police.
The hacker also has the least intimidating name ever.
Jupus Tuki.
Oh my God,
McGonagall. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? And like,
Toopy, Goopy, Boopy, Bloopy.
Yeah, Jones. Like, yeah. Like, that was how it sounded to me. Like, he's just got this really stupid name. And every time they call him Beppis, yeah. Every time they call him Jupus Tuki, I'm just like, are you serious?
I love him so much, though.
Juki.
What voice actor is Jupus? I recognize it, but I didn't look it up.
I recognize it as well. He sounds a little like Invader Zim's voice actor, but I know it's not the same person.
It's not him, but it's something
it's a very
similar to that.
similar sounding person, yeah. And I neglected to look it up myself.
Yeah.
I really like him. I realized later he's actually kind of, so if this game is Star Wars and two of your party members are already C-3PO and R2-D2, then this guy is, I guess, sort of more like Jar Jar.
Ben said that too.
Except I actually love him, and I also love Jar Jar, but that's me. Unlike Jar Jar, Jupus actually owns.
Oh, I might have found it actually. Let me make sure this is correct.
Here's why I like Jar Jar.
He's
everyone
Gonzo.
in the story
That's who he is.
him.
He's Gonzo.
Benjamin Isaac Diskin is the voice actor's name, and he is known for he was number 1 and number 2 in Codename Kids Next Door, if you ever watched that.
He was Shoutmon in Digimon Fusion, which is probably what I recognize him as. He also was Gonzo from the Muppets. So that's a big one too.
Yeah, okay. That one actually hits for me.
He also is Umino from Sailor Moon.
Oh,
he is. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Original, you mean, right? Like original.
No, the new Sailor Moon.
The new dub.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which means he's the good Umino.
Yeah. He's also in Agretsuko, which I really want to watch, but I want to watch it with Summer because it looks cute.
Agretsuko's so good.
It looks super cute. But anywho, so we talked to Umino, Jupus Tuki, and or we see the video of him, and we're like, so on the video he says that his wife left him and his life is the absolute pit, so he wants 200 million Zen, and we're like, okay, let's go take him down. So we walk over to the factory, and the police say that he's taken down all of the squads that they've sent in so far. And the police, when we're like, okay, we're going to go in, the police are like, we can't be bothered by the likes of you. And then Steve is like, but it's Desert Claw. And me and Jaster both are like, oh yeah, I forgot I'm impersonating someone's wife. And the police is like, oh shit, name your price and help us. And Lilica and Steve are like both jump in and are like, all right, then give us all the money that's ever been printed in the entire world. And Jaster's just like, but like, I'm not actually Desert Claw. Like, this is going to come back to haunt me. Like, what if they write the check to Desert Claw and now I can't do it?
Cash it. No, he just says he's Desert Claw when he goes to cash it, because apparently in this world, no one ever verifies that you are who you say you are. They're just like, okay, cool.
I made this comment in the Let's Play that, like, eventually someone's going to be like, you lied to us about being Desert Claw. And his response is going to be like, I never said I was Desert Claw.
Technically, everyone else lied to you about being Desert Claw.
Fun fact, that's the opening cutscene of Chapter 6.
Oh, nice. That makes sense, because obviously the captain of the Dorgenark would be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, that's what happens.
Hi, I'm not Desert Claw.
So, not to spoil stuff for next episode, but like when that happens, everyone's like, does the like, yeah, but Jaster's our friend, you gotta trust him. And I was like, I don't think you've earned that at this point of the game. Like,
no.
like I get why, because like you need to have that addressed before you go on the main quest. But like, I fought the Sun God and I renewed our visa and got thrown in prison. Like, where part of this did I earn your whole like stuff? Like, if the Jungle Planet would have been better, that scene could have happened right after the Jungle Planet, would have shown us the bad guy, would have shown us our quest, would have made all of that much better, and it would have made that scene play better if the Jungle Planet was better and it happened then. But that's stuff for next episode when we can all talk about it. But anywho, so we walk in the factory, and the security bots activate and attack us. And Steve says that that Jupus is controlling everything in the factory. So we come to some annoying conveyor belt rooms, and the reason that they're annoying is you come in the room and you see the door you need to go to, but it says that it's locked with the factory key, and it doesn't tell you look somewhere in this room for the factory key. So I go back and I look through the entire huge loops in on itself section to find a treasure chest, and there's nothing. So I come back in the room, look everywhere, and all of the places where it's obvious there's a chest, it's not there, and it's always like behind a crane tucked away in a corner somewhere, and that's where the key is, which, like, I get they were trying to hide it, but they don't hide it with level design that will let you find it. They hide it just to be a dick, and it kind of was annoying. And in the grand scheme of things, it was always hard to get to that door, so that we didn't need the key on top of it. It was always like you always had a platforming thing to go to get up the elevator to cross over the conveyor belts to get to the other door. That would have been enough of a challenge, but locking that door, making me do it twice to go and find a chest that you didn't even like hide well, you just hid, like, was annoying, and probably my least favorite level design of this game so far.
Yeah.
I liked it more because at least I was doing something, unlike previous dungeons.
I mean, yeah, but
also I must have lucked out because I guess again, it's not like I'm better at video games. I guess I just got lucky because I always found the key like really fast or before even seeing the door. So It didn't annoy me as much, but that's just because of my own luck, I guess.
Yeah. The first one was okay. Like, I searched throughout the building and I found it. And like that one was kind of in a level design good place. So the door was up on the second floor where you have to jump over the things, and you can ride on a conveyor belt in the middle to take you to two different sections of the platforms on the top. The factory key was on the opposite end of where the door was, on the opposite side. So like that one, it makes sense. It's like, oh, that area you didn't go explore there. Now you found the key. You did it. The second key is literally like behind a crane in one of the doors in a section you're not supposed to, like, you don't have to go to. So it's like
it's like in the boring floor area that you jumped over.
Yeah. And so like it was really dumb to find that second one, and I hated it. But anywho, so in one of the one of these conveyor belt rooms, when we get in there, a bunch of huge robots show up, and we have to fight them. And after that fight, another one of those robots comes up, but fights the robots we were just fighting to save us. And over the radio, says that his name is Dr. Piccaccio. This is the part where I don't have perfect notes, so if I skip over things, remind me. But
there is one little thing that you skipped. It's pretty minor. You get to a door and it's locked, and instead of having to go get a key, remember there's actually a cutscene.
Oh yeah.
Where I forget, is it Steve? Is that who we're with now?
Yeah, we're with Steve now.
Okay, I get those two guys mixed up. Yeah. So Steve opens it using like a welding torch, sort of thing, like cuts it open, and then there's a big explosion, and that's that robot. And the reason why that matters is it's very minor and so contrived, but that knocks Steve out. So when you meet Dr. Pistachio, Steve isn't there for that, and then Dr. Pistachio then leaves, and then Steve wakes up and he's like, I had a dream. I thought I heard a voice that I recognized. And the only reason that even matters is just so that like he's unconscious for that cutscene. That way later
it can be a reveal.
There can be a cutscene where he's like, oh, Dr. Pistachio, I know him.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. It's like, oh, they just needed him to have we needed to have the cutscene happen later, not earlier. So let's just have him be unconscious for like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So then after some more exploring and that second factory key, we've come to Dr. Pistachio's office, and we find out that he's Steve's creator. Dr. Fellatio says he used to be a researcher, but he's retired.
That's a joke that I wish we'd made during the Let's Play, because I kept calling him like Pinocchio and Pistachio and Focaccia. Fellatio, for some reason, did not occur to me, and that is
literally
a missed opportunity.
But that's because I'm bad.
So Dr. Pistachio says he used to be a researcher, but he's retired to just managing the factory because he feels he's not like forward thinking enough, like all these new young kids that are out there, something along those lines. And he
big mood.
Yeah, he sends us off on our way to go and stop Jupus. Did I miss anything in that cutscene?
There was a lot of talking, but it wasn't very complicated talking. You got it.
I feel that that was all that happened. So we eventually come across Jupus, and he summons. So the thing he does to like stop you before the boss battle is the first time he summons like 5 Maxes, which is just this random robot mob. He summons 5 of them. And then I Desert Wind and I take them all down. So this next time, he like, if I didn't have Desert Wind, this would have amped up the difficulty a lot, and it would have been a hard thing. But Desert Wind...
It would have been nasty, honestly.
But Desert Wind doesn't give a shit if you are... if there's more than one. It does the same damage to every enemy. So he summons like 20 Maxes. It would have been really, really hard, but I used Desert Wind and it kills all of them in one hit.
And he get a shit ton of XP. It was great.
Ken did the same thing. And it was just like, wow, okay, that was not intimidating, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, that was one of the things where I'm like, oh man, this would have been like in Kingdom Hearts 2, the 1,000 Heartless fight or whatever. Like,
oh god,
that was such an epic thing because it was all stupid, pointless mobs, but it was stupid, pointless mobs, but a lot of them. And I'm like, oh, this would have been that, but instead I have Desert Wind level 2. So Lilica shoots him with an arrow, but it goes through him because he's just a hologram. And we're like, oh, we have to go and find where he actually is. One thing I thought was weird is they showed it going through him off camera. So like she shoots and it shows the wall, and then it shows him and he's like rippling a little bit, and then he laughs at us and fizzles out. And I wonder if it's like, they like for real they didn't want you to show shooting a non-bad guy, because she shot and we saw her shoot Rosencaster, but since this was a good guy, maybe they didn't want to show the arrow actually going through him or whatever.
I think it's supposed to be more like an anime fake out. Like, you know how in anime they do the thing where the two people run past each other with swords and then one of them falls over a second later? Mm-hmm. I think it's more like she shoots and then it hits the wall, so you're like, oh, did it hit him? Did it not hit him? Did he dodge it? Did he do a cool dodge move? And then you see, it's because he was a hologram. I think that's probably more it.
Maybe.
But what you say also makes sense.
Yeah. Either way, it was a little clunky way to show that he was just a hologram.
It was odd.
And
I do like how no one actually says, oh, he's a hologram.
Yeah.
And no point did they actually say that. They just let you figure it out, which is nice.
Yeah. We chase after him and eventually come to the mainframe. We're skipping over almost all the dungeon here because the dungeon is a figure 8 with a little loopy on the bottom of it 4 times. Like, same layout, same everything. It's kind of dumb. But
the graphics do change every floor.
Yeah.
And it's kind of really cool. It reminds me of, it's like a Persona, except if Persona's graphics changed every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Instead of every 10 hours.
Yeah. So what I thought was cool is the floors are always see-through, so you can see the factory underneath you. And like at the beginning, it's like just smelting down like the raw materials. And then at the end, you're seeing them actually build the spaceships under you, which is cool. But like it's cool. It's a hallway with no treasure chests.
Yeah.
So
also the last big conveyor belt room, there is a spaceship.
Yeah, a giant spaceship in it that you have.
And you're platforming around on it. And again, not the most fun, but
cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. So when we come across Jupus in the mainframe, he's like, "Oh, you're here already?" And
I love that.
And he summons a giant Eggman robot from Sonic, and
exactly what I thought.
He jumps in it to fight us. One illusion sword later, he's like, Super Saiyan Eggman, and powers up. And then 2 illusion swords later, he's down. Did you guys have... Oh, I forgot. He does, when he powers up, he gets a shield on him, and Dr. Pistachio comes in and gives us a gun that can take down those shields, another special gun like our monography shot and the freeze shot. Mm-hmm. And so I shoot that once, and then 2 illusion swords, and he's dead.
Yeah, I don't think Ken had too many problems with it. Like, he didn't game over or anything. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty tough. I didn't game over, but I think I only had Illusion Sword 1 at this point, and also I didn't know how OP it was, like you said. So I couldn't just annihilate him instantly. But what he would do is he would do this thing where he would make these 4 little sentries pop up, and they would just shoot the ever-loving shit out of you.
Damn.
And they must have had really high defense or something because Desert Wind 2 would not instantly kill them.
Oh wow,
which is crazy.
Yeah, because it does like
I think maybe
2,000 to 3,000 for Desert Wind 2.
Well, I actually think they might have just had high defense against spells or something, because if you go and hit them with your sword or shoot them with your gun, they don't have that much health.
Okay.
But basically, they just shoot the hell out of you, and you really can't ignore them because they're fucking you up. So you have to go and kill these sentry things. And yeah, but I didn't die, but it was a non-trivial fight. Also, he kites you like no one's business.
Oh yeah, I remember that part. Like he's just jumping across the entire thing at the beginning,
and you have to slowly run across while the sentries are shooting at you. Yeah.
It was annoying, but so he goes down, and Dr. Pistachio thanks Jupus for keeping the spirit of research alive, something along those lines. And Jupus then tells us his backstory. So he was almost at a breakthrough of figuring out how to access space-time energy, which is like limitless energy, and also
sci-fi mumbo jumbo,
sci-fi mumbo jumbo, nonsense. But the one small thing is they call it space-time energy every time Pistachio says it, but time space energy every time Jupus says it. And I'm like, that's why you were left in the dust, Pistachios. You didn't call it the right thing.
Come on, man, you got to get with the time.
I could just see Jupus, which, by the way, we didn't say, if you're not playing along with us, Jupus is a lizard. Like, he has a long, creepy lizard neck, which is cool. But
I love him.
Yeah,
I really love his design.
Brontosaurus.
Yeah. Ken was comparing him to the Thresher beasts in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I could see that. But so I can see in my mind's eye Jupus like staring at this wall of like equations, and he's like, but what if instead of space-time energy, it's time-space energy.
You've been doing it backwards the whole time.
And then he's just madman, just like scribbles out all his math on the chalkboard. But so he says he was almost at a breakthrough to figure it out, but he was like pulling a bunch of all-nighters, so he was like tired and resting. And you see him resting his little lizard head on his keyboard, and this other guy comes up and is like, what, like, you're done? He's like, yeah, I just have to solve this one equation, and then I'll have it figured out. And then that guy leaves, and Jupus falls asleep. Then Jupus wakes up, and the coffee machine was spilt all over the computer and ruins the computer and loses all of his work.
I saw that coming. Like, every time they showed the coffee, I was like, that shit's gonna get all over the place.
Cutaways to it. Well, also, the guy who visited, his assistant, he was like, whoa, so you're saying the power to rule the galaxy could be at hand? I actually thought maybe the guy destroyed his research because he like thought that no man should have all that power, but no, he totally just stole it.
He straight up stole it
for the bad guys.
And so Jupus knows that he stole it, and that's the main reason why he went crazy. Was he's like, y'all stole my life's work, and y'all framed me to look like a loser, and you fired me, didn't even let me be there for it, blah 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 blah. And so the police show up and try to arrest him, and so Jupus is like, bye, and throws a smoke bomb and leaves. But we see him leave because he's not fast, because he's a short, stubby little brontosaurus boy. And but the police don't chase after him; they just let him leave. And or they say, we have all the exits guarded. We'll find him. We know all of the places that he likes to hide or whatever. And so as payment, they're like, we could give you money, but instead, what if we give you this factory so that you can make all of these items? And everyone's like, yeah, that's awesome. And then when you actually go to use the factory, it's like, this doesn't actually create the items. This just lets you buy it at stores. And I'm like, well, this is bad. I don't want this as my I don't want this as my thing if I don't get the item. Like, it would be one thing to be like, oh, I can go and make all the items in the world that I want. But no, it's like, you can go and have the access to healthcare. Sorry, you can have the access to these items.
Exactly.
I love it.
United States of Care.
Yeah.
United States of Factory.
Yeah, United States of Factory. So Picacchio's like, but this is my factory, and the police, because they make these decisions, are like, not anymore. You can go back and be a lead researcher like you used to be, because you still got it or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that I'm sure the police can make this decision, but
oh yeah, I'm sure it's up to them entirely.
So Pistachio's like, by the way, I can make items for you here at the factory, and I'm like, cool. This is the other crafting system that Michael mentioned in episode 1, except it's not good. It's not fun. It's bad. It's kind of cool as like a puzzle, but that puzzle is frustrating to accomplish, so it makes me not want to do the puzzle, because basically what it is...
The UI is so much worse than it could be.
Yeah, the UI is horrible. So there's not a way to, like... So there's like 5 different cursors that you can pick. You can place an item, you can move an item, you can remove an item, and you can do something else. I don't know. But like so you have to go and you select these different cursors to do everything, instead of one cursor with buttons that change what it does. So like,
yeah, why not you click on the item and then you can decide to delete it or move it?
Yeah, but
so weird.
Yeah. So what you do is you have your 2 materials, and you build a factory that will take these materials and put them together in the combinator. And at that if they arrive at the combinator at the same time, properly prepared, it makes the item for you. But to properly prepare different items requires different things. So like a metal item, you have to smelt it down, then you have to reform it, then you have to cool it, and then it's ready for combination. And then like a alchemy item, you have to put it through the magical smelter to make it ready, and things like that. So like the puzzle of like, they have to arrive at the same time, so I have to build like this factory thing that takes exactly 10 steps. So this other factory thing that does different stuff also takes 10 steps, and then it can combine everything. Like, that's cool. But the UI kills it, because you have all those different cursors, and they don't like make the grid that you're stuck to a directional button. It's all like, if you press right, it will always try to bring you in the most right direction, but it doesn't pick that at when you move the camera. It picks it every time you press the button. So if you're at a 45-degree angle and you hold right, you will go northwest, then southwest, then northwest, then southwest, which is really annoying when you're trying to stick on a grid and build things exactly. So it be like the UI, like I did both of the first puzzles it lets you do, and but the UI was bad enough that I'm like, if I find the blueprint for the ultimate weapon, which it says you can build from here, if I find that blueprint, I'll come back and I'll make that one, but I'm not going to make all 40 of these potential blueprints.
No.
It's not fun. I was like looking forward to it, because it's the last thing on your menu. You have for this, you have question marks right there, and so it finally fills it in, and it's not even worth it. But anywho,
well, as usual, I'm a dumb idiot. I'm probably not going to do Insectron, but I'm probably going to do this a whole lot. I don't know. Just the audacity of like having this entire, like, have y'all played like a Space Kim or anything like that?
I've done only,
or whatever that more newer one is.
I've only done like FTL, if that's what you're talking about, those sorts of things. But
no. There's this guy who makes a bunch of puzzle games on PC.
Is one of them called Orpheus? Is that the type of thing you're talking about?
The two that are really popular are Space Kim, and then the most recent one is called something like The Ultimate Masterpiece or something.
Oh yeah,
no, but they're just like, it's like,
something
hey, what
Opus.
If a puzzle
That's
game...
what I was thinking of. Is something Opus.
Magnum Opus.
Yeah,
Magnum Opus. Yeah, or Opus Magnum, actually, backwards. It's just like, hey, what if a puzzle game was actually just literally doing engineering?
Yeah.
Anyway, the idea that Level 5 would put such an elaborately produced, with like 3D graphics and everything, like stupid engineering sim instead of just a regular fucking crafting. It's so stupid I can't help but love it, and I am gonna make a bad decision and probably 100% it.
I also, being the resident Digimon player, I should love Insectron, but the catch rates are super duper low, and you have to have 5 before you can do anything, which is such a high barrier to entry that I'm not gonna fucking do it. Like, I have yet to catch a real Insectron, and JRPGT in our Discord, he was saying that it took him like 3 hours of extra stuff to get his 5, and I'm like,
Jeez.
yeah, I'm not going to do that to start, to have a basic
that's ridiculous
Insectron stuff.
Yeah, in case you care, I actually did find a thing that makes Insectron way better. It's actually not bad catch rates. It's actually just a stupid design issue.
Okay.
But if you can get around it, the issue is that when your thing beeps, you need to book it and get there.
Oh, that's stupid.
The longer, the more time it takes, like the longer you wait, it'll escape. So first of all, it doesn't beep in the game. That you only know is you have to just go
to the items.
You go to your item menu, then it'll beep. So what you gotta do is just go to your item menu on a semi-regular basis, and then as soon as you see it beeping, go to the nearest teleporter and go there right away, and you'll always catch it. It's not random. It's that it escaped.
Oh, that's dumb.
Oh my god.
That's so bad.
Once I figured that out, it was way easier. Except here's the problem. The game totally always lets you leave it somewhere and then locks you in a dungeon where you can't escape from the dungeon. And I'm like, well, now I can't go get it. But, of course, you can retrieve it and replace it. But I'm like, surely I'll be done with this dungeon relatively soon. No, you're not. Anyway, it's super stupid. Like, it's a dumb design decision, but but that actually is how it works. And once you realize that's how it works, it's not like I went from having 1 Insectron to having 4 in probably an hour once I realized what was going on.
Okay.
I couldn't care less about Insectron, honestly.
Which is also fine. I'm probably not going to bother.
I might look up like what the Insectron like fighting actually is, and if that looks interesting, I might do it. But right now, it's one extra thing to do, and we already have like 6 hours of gameplay to play each week, so I probably won't do it. So, blah 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 blah. So, we head back to the Space DMV, and Mio gives us a passport and slips in the passport one of her fan club cards. She's like, it's number 76,000, so that's not quite like as awesome, but like you get what you get, I guess. And the funniest thing is, so as we said in the episode 1, and we mentioned it a little bit this episode, your characters just randomly shout out stuff while you're exploring. One of Jaster's lines up from getting the fan club card to getting back to the Dorgenark is like, number 76,000, huh? And I'm like, why do you care?
What?
Like,
why are you commenting on this, dude?
Like, do you wish you had number 150 like those guards did? Like,
so
whatever.
He's a JRPG fan. Even if the game is stupid and you don't care, you still want to have the best number.
You can.
It's like I'm still gonna grind and level up, even if the game sucks and I hate it. Yeah, he's got the RPG bug.
You can apparently turn off their random dialogue, and I'm very tempted to do that because I find them incredibly annoying.
I find them annoying too, but ones like this make me like, well, I don't want to miss the next stupid ass thing that Jester says.
Okay, that's also fair.
Yeah, like 1 out of 4 is like actually really good or funny or weird, and then the other ones are annoying.
Yeah. So we head back to the Dorgenark, and Jupus is there, and he's like, well, I'm on the run, so I obviously couldn't come home, so I decided to join up with you. And you're like, okay. And that's the end of chapter 5, unless I skipped something there on the Dorgenark. I don't remember if I did or not.
No, that's it. You can save immediately.
Okay.
At like right after that cutscene, you can. It's just like you're in the Dorgenark. There's NPCs. There's like not even a cutscene. Like it's just like you can save if you want to, and that's what I did.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the end of chapter 5. I played a little bit into chapter 6. If the listeners followed along to the letter of what I said, they might have played a little bit of it too. Basically, chapter 6 starts and you finally meet Dorgengoa, and he's like, this isn't fucking Desert Claw, and they're like, but the power of friendship, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then you head down to Vaden, and you learn something really fucking cool about Steve that I was excited to talk to you guys about, and you'll have to wait till next time. So I'll leave that until next time,
So
and that'll be how we start it.
things, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad. But
I'm sorry.
so that was the end of our playthrough. What was everybody's favorite part from this week?
Gosh, actually, that's difficult because I still feel like not much happened. I don't know. I like Jupastuki a lot. I think that character is stupid and fun.
Yeah,
I called it from like looking at the box art. I was like, I think I'm gonna like this guy. He looks fucking stupid. Like,
yeah. He's got like the dumbest reason for wanting revenge, but it's also like the most realistic, I think.
Right, it's like big mood. Like, I feel you, man.
Yeah, like, man, that really sucks that you were fired under false pretenses after someone sabotaged you. Like, that's a real thing that could happen. And also, you're a dumb lizard man.
Yeah.
And like, he's a petty asshole all the time. Like, he's always making these dumb smug faces.
And I love his voice. Like, I'm so glad I know that voice actor from other things. Like, and I know where he's from now. And I can totally hear like the Kids Next Door voice in him now. But yeah,
I now definitely hear Shoutmon, and that's definitely what I was hearing when I was playing it. It was Shoutmon from Digimon.
Yeah, and I can hear Umino in there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that character. I think he's the first one that I've been like, okay, yeah, I like this guy. I like this guy a lot.
Spoilers, if you haven't looked at the cover, our next and final party member is a dog man, and his name is Digo, and I can already tell we're going to call him Doggo. Like,
he's gonna be Doggo.
He was not
the whole time.
He was not named appropriately for 2018. Like,
no.
Calling him Digo was probably fine back in the day, but so we get to meet him next time. And I'm super excited to get there. This part of my favorite this time around was definitely the things are happening.gif when you get up to A3 onward. So like at A3, no, it probably was at the Proto Beast actually. When you come across that one, I was like, oh, things are happening, things are cool, and that carried me through the rest of it. Where like I made this subconscious decision to not get my battle recorder here. Part of it was because this was shift change and I didn't have a big chunk of free time to play. Because normally I do all of my playing on Friday and Monday, but I didn't have those days off this time because of shift change. So I had to just do like early morning things. And I was like, I have less time. I'm not going to do the battle recorder. But also by the time like I got through chapter 4, I didn't want to go back and do battle recorder stuff. I wanted to see what was going on and what was happening with that. And that was really the first time this game pulled me forward in a way. So what about you, Spiff? What was your favorite part?
So two things. The first thing is the world design architecture continues to be amazing. I was getting some really heavy like Mobius vibes from the city. It's really cool. I meant one thing that's funny. I said I was going to upload some pictures I took. I totally did upload them to a drive, but then I forgot that I apparently didn't share it with anybody. It's like it's like one of the things where I thought I already did it. So yeah, I'll do that. But the main thing though is I can't tell if this is on purpose or not, but the game keeps bringing up these really interesting political ideas and then like sort of not engaging with them, but also maybe it is supposed to be there in the background. So like they talk about like there's a lot of stuff about like the military industrial complex in this game. It's like there's even a line that Hoodcat says where he's like, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but I get what they were going for. He's like, crime is just another way to have war or something.
Yeah.
But you know, I get it. It's like, yeah, you have a prison. Probably seems like sort of a separate from the government for-profit prison system that is just imprisoning people for no reason so that they can make soldiers and have this war. But the only reason you have the war is to give money to the prison people so that they can make the soldiers. And then you've got this company that makes big spaceships, and it's very much implied that the Warhawks are the Warhawks who threw the admiral in jail are people who work for Daytona.
Daytron.
Yeah. And like, so it's like, oh, they want the war to continue because they profit off of it by making spaceships. And then like, but then it'll have this funny thing where like, so over the course of you fighting Jupus, there's totally like, basically you go from thinking he's bad to realizing that he's good. Like once you get his backstory and stuff, you're like, wow, I like him. He really is on the right side. He's cool. But like none of your characters acknowledge that.
Yeah.
They're all like, oh, he got away and he's still bad. And then he shows up on the ship and he's like, I'm here now. So like I'm glad that he joined the party, obviously. But it's weird that like none of the characters acknowledge that he, has some good points because this company stole his research in order to try and take over the world and stuff.
So that brings up something that I didn't like. I just now realized, like Jaster is voiced and he says things in cutscenes, but he's kind of a silent protagonist. He hasn't offered any of his input on anything that's happened.
That's true.
So far.
Yeah.
He's like a functionally silent protagonist. Yeah, totally.
Because like Kisala was everything on the Jungle Planet. It was her asking stuff there, and Jaster really did like he would ask questions to Kisala, but that was to get Kisala to talk more. He never like put forward his opinion. His only opinion we know is he wants to go to space.
I want to go to space.
And so,
what's your favorite thing about space? Mine's space.
Well,
Dad, are you space? Yes, son. And now we can be a family again.
I still remember like every one of those lines, even though that game, I haven't played that game since it came out like 7 years ago.
It's amazing. I need to play it again.
Yeah.
The Space Corps.
We should do a bonus episode where we just play through Portal 2.
Yes.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea at all.
It's a short ass game, so even though it's like 3 times longer than the original Portal,
it's like 10 hours or something.
It's like 6.
Yeah, you're right. Probably like 6.
Yeah, it's like 6 hours long.
But,
so if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that about does it for the week. Speaking of playing a short game as a bonus episode, that brings up some important things. We have officially made $20 per month on our Patreon. So our first goal of make this podcast free for Sam to do is now succeeded. So I can do this podcast forever. There will come a time where I will be like, okay, the next games we have to play are 2 games that I already own because I don't have money to go and buy new ones. But the hosting costs, which is the part that gets out of hand really easy for podcasts, that is now covered from all of you lovely listeners who have donated your money to hang out with us. So thank you so much. Our next stretch goal, I guess, after this is when we hit $100 a month, we'll do what we call our 2 stretch goals shortcast and longcast, where we play games that aren't RPGs for shortcast that have like 6-hour campaigns like Portal 2, and we still talk about them story-wise and like book club-wise, but we'll do it over like 1 to 4 episodes instead of like 10 plus episodes like everything else is. So we've talked about The Last of Us, we've talked about Metal Gear Solid, we've now talked about Portal.
Shovel Knight would be another good one for that.
Is it story heavy?
No, not particularly.
No. Okay.
No.
It's
like,
mostly,
because like I want
It'd be like gushing about graphics.
Yeah, I kind of want to focus it on like story rich experiences.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's story in each of the levels, like behind them and everything. But...
Yeah, so like we could look at Shovel Knight. It might work. I don't know. This is all literally me announcing this right now. So there is nothing set in stone. So we also would want to do those like 1 game monthly. So if it's a short game and we have 1 episode, it'll be 1 episode a month. If we do something like Metal Gear Solid, that's like pushing 20 hours, that might be a full 4 episodes, but we still would do those 4 episodes within 1 month. We just want to try and add we don't want to try and add another game a week if we don't have to. So we'll try and do shorter games for the shortcast. If that interests you, you can go and throw some more buckaroonies at the Patreon. That will help us. The money for that will go to getting like Spiff a new microphone, so he doesn't sound like he's He's on.
Yes.
Like, we're technically all Skyped in, but he's the one that sounds like he's Skyped in.
So for him, we have a tin can with a string attached on his end.
That goes all the way to California.
All the way across the country, halfway across America.
Exactly. It somehow reaches us here in Texas. It's crazy.
And then after we get him a mic, it'll just be getting us all games and stuff. And so, like, right now, I would love to talk about Xenoblade. It's way too long for this podcast, but like I would love to talk about Xenoblade with everybody, but like it's a brand new game and not everybody can just throw down $60 for it. So like the Patreon will go and pay some of that off, get us new microphones, new headphones for Rizzo. Y'all don't notice it, but like his mic bleeds really bad, so I'm having to cut constantly because he only has Apple headphones. So like getting new headphones, new mics, making the podcast all around better is basically the plan from now on, now that we have the base costs covered. So that'll be awesome.
We love you guys so much. Thank you.
So much.
All are the best.
And if you're like, well, I really love these guys, but I don't want to pay per month. I just want to give them a lot of money right now. We also have merch, and you can find our merch at bit.ly/RPG merch, and it has shirts and phone cases and beach towels and throw pillows and lots of little stuff like that. Funny
soon as that went up, I got one.
We need to do enamel pins.
Enamel pins are really expensive.
My wife is the huge. Oh, really? Never mind.
Yeah, they're really expensive. Like most of my friends that like have an Etsy that sell enamel pins, they do a Kickstarter for each new ones they do because it's like a $800 upfront cost. But if you want to donate $800 to get us some enamel pins, well, you can.
Yeah, you sure can.
But
Please.
Yeah, so other than that, Spiffle, do you want to play us off, Keyboard Cat?
Real quick, make sure to check out the Let's Plays on YouTube under Sailor Eli.
Yes.
Look up Sailor Eli. We will get back to Earthbound at some point when we figured out our schedules, because Ken and I don't share a weekend anymore. But we are playing Rogue Galaxy, so if you're listening to this and you want to experience the game with someone who is on the podcast, come check us out. We have a lot of fun just rambling about random shit. And I had way more time to have fun when I was not being frustrated over the gameplay.
Nice.
We came up with a new character called the Goddammit Ghost, which it's a ghost that comes in, says "Goddammit" and leaves at like the most inopportune times. So anyway,
Beautiful.
Yeah, we have lots of fun. Come watch us.
Awesome.
Yeah, so also, as usual, we're on Twitter at RPG Book Club. Email is rpgbookclub@gmail.com. And as our Discord just continues to be rad. You fans who are active on our Discord, y'all are great. I really enjoyed chatting with y'all throughout the week.
Which
cool.
reminds me, even though y'all have said I don't have to do this, Cohen and Essie, you guys are awesome. So thank you for hanging out and talking like all the time. Essie will just show up and like, oh, nobody's really talked since like this morning, so she'll just throw out just like a general conversation starter question and just be like, so what's your guys' favorite blah blah blah, and then just kick off the Discord for the day, and it's really awesome.
Super cool. Yeah,
and,
super fun.
And then
love it.
Cohen has invited like 40 of his friends to listen, which is super awesome. So here's your guys' shout outs. I remembered this time. They've been here since the middle of Persona, and I keep forgetting to shout them out, but here they are.
So Sam, what are the names of our exciting chapters for next time? I remember. So chapter 6 is called The Guide, which is mysterious. And what about chapter 7?
Let me look it up because I didn't fill out that part of our notes.
I have a walkthrough up on my phone.
Yeah, so let's see. It was his table of contents just numbers them, so I have to scroll down to the actual thing.
Valcog's Ambition.
Ooh.
Oh, all right. Nobunaga's Ambition.
That actually sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, so join us next week. We'll play to the end of Chapter 7, Valcog's Ambition.
Yeah.
So for RPG Book Club, I've been Michael Spiffle Webben.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I have been Sam Allman.
You're Sam Wow, remember?
I'm Sam Wow in the Discord because that's my MySpace name. And I always liked it. Bye.